Welcome, welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Off the Cuff. It's finally here. We're here. For you watching and listening, you have no idea what I'm talking about. This has been a long time in the works. And by a long time, I mean a month. It seems a long time for me.
That has been 2 months.
Maybe 2 months. My name is JT. Welcome into the show. That lovely voice you just heard is none other than the Highlander himself, one of my best friends and co-host for this podcast. I appreciate Highlander coming on. Appreciate his idea, spawning this thing 2 months ago now-ish. Highlander, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good. What'd you do today?
Played some Fortnite.
Beautiful.
Up to date with the news of a lot of breaking news going on in the sports today.
Of course. And that's what we're here to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Off the Cuff is primarily a sports podcast. And we are welcoming you in here for our very first episode. So a little bit about ourselves, our co-hosts in charge here. Like I said, my name is JT. Welcome in. Born and raised in upstate New York. Now living in Atlanta, Georgia. Been here for about 4 years, which is absolutely wild to think about, but it's the truth. And that's me pretty much. My love of sports extends to mainly football, basketball, baseball, and we're also going to be covering some eSports here while we are talking about sports in general. So those eSports include Call of Duty, Rocket League, Halo, kind of others, not quite others. So that's me. That's me. Your number one co-host. And now, not number one is strong. That sounds like I'm better than Highlander. That's not true. No, yeah. So my equally as important co-host, Highlander, tell people where you're from.
Okay, well, now you say eagerly, and it sounds like you're kind of kicking my butt a little bit, but, born and raised in Florida, still in Florida, unfortunately. But I've been a sports fan since I want to say about like 5. I started first liking sports. From a very young age, I picked my teams, and just went with it from there.
Beautiful. Your sports of interest are?
Football, hockey. Just getting into the NRL.
National Rugby League.
Yeah, be deep into that currently. Honestly, that's about it. Still learning about others. But I watch various different sports.
He watches a lot of sports. Yes.
Tennis.
You know a good bit about the COD League too, Call of Duty League. You know a good bit. So that's about it. So, well, yeah, that's us. These are your co-hosts. You're stuck with them. Sorry, but we're here. So now let's get into our favorite teams. Let's just list them off. Just so people know who we're rooting for, where we're going for. As you can see by my hat I have on today, I'm a Red Sox fan. For baseball, born in upstate New York. I was not the first to defect of my family. That was my father. So blame him, but don't blame him because he made the right choice. And then from there, he, infected the family, my brother and I pretty much. So, Boston Red Sox fan for baseball. At first, I was a Clippers fan for basketball, but since the Big Three broke up and I live in Atlanta now, I'm a Hawks fan. Who else? Football, I'm Bills, so that's at least some hometown pride. Bills fan. Let's see. Who else? Yeah, hockey. Bruins fan, mainly just because of Boston. 2009 was when I started to watch hockey a little bit, and I was wearing Bruins won it all. So I'm just like, well, there you go. Boston, beautiful. Bruins, awesome. Don't watch it too much anymore, so that's why Highlander is the expert on all things hockey. Rugby, I'm very new to rugby. This is my first season watching the NRL, and so I'm sort of split between the Raiders and the Eels. So rugby fans, You probably know which one I'll end up choosing, but it's still up in the air. Raiders, you gotta, you know, you gotta bring it to get my support, or else I'm going Eels. So that's good. Call of Duty. Prior to the retirement of Scump, I was an Optic Gaming fan. Still like Optic Gaming for sure, but mainly just because of Scump. Now, I don't really have a favorite, to be honest. I mean, Atlanta FaZe, because they're in Atlanta, but also not really. So, we're seeing about that. Same kind of with Rocket League and Halo. Don't really have any fan roots, just sort of watching and absorbing as much as I can. So, Highlander, what about you? What are your sport teams?
I mean, surprise to everyone, I'm an Eagles fan. There's nothing here that would tell you that at all. When it comes to hockey, Anaheim Ducks fan. The first time I watched hockey was actually, I think it was the year of 2007 when I chose the Ducks because my favorite movie growing up was The Mighty Ducks. No surprise. So luckily the year I actually started cheering for the Ducks, they went and won the Stanley Cup, which was a kind of fitting thing. And I was like, wow, I chose the right team here. Then it comes to baseball. I'm slowly leaning towards finally picking a team with baseball. And oddly, I'm going for Toronto recently. I really like the Blue Jays, like the jerseys, like the players. They're a fun team to watch.
Mm-hmm, they are.
NRL, it's up the bunnies. Let's go Rabbitohs. Great team. COD and the CDL. Growing up, early days, I was an Optic Gaming fan with Nate Shot. But then when Nate Shot left and made his own organization, 100 Thieves, I also followed Nate Shot in that journey, and I became a 100 Thieves fan. Am I missing a sport? Think here.
Did you say hockey?
I did. The Ducks,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. Did you say basketball? Do you have a basketball team?
Oh, basketball.
Okay.
At one point, I was a Warriors fan. But then I realized that I was more of a player fan than I am a team fan when it comes to basketball. Like I like Curry. I love Devin Booker. And it's just I'm more of I like watching the fun players.
Mm.
Kind of thing. I like the explosive players, if that's the word to use there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, that's us. That is me, and that is Highlander. And without further ado, let's get into some sports, shall we? So first off the rip, we're heading into the wild world of the NFL. Now, the NFL just coming off of their season. Highlander and I both didn't think there was much to talk about in the NFL, with it being the beginning of the postseason. But Highlander, enlighten us in everything that is going on in the NFL, please.
Well, there happens to be actually breaking news that just came out not long ago. The Commanders have just released quarterback Carson Wentz after one season.
Oh, my.
Shocking in the fact that, I mean, he got injured early, but, I mean, he didn't look too bad. But the 30-year-old quarterback will now head to his third different team in as many seasons in 2023. That's just that's insane. As you know, this will be that's I don't know if .com has that wrong. This will be his fourth team.
Will it?
Because he's been on the Eagles. Then he went to the Colts. Then Commanders.
That's true.
Yeah, this will be his fourth team.
Fourth team in fourth year.
And let's just say, with Washington Commanders, Wentz appeared in 8 games this season, producing 1,755 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, at a 62.3% completion rate. And the Commanders went 2-5 in the 7 games Wentz started. So it makes sense that we would see Carson Wentz released.
Yeah, it does.
Which kind of also proves that I think Sam Howell will now be the future of the Commanders going further. Also, my second topic I want to get into, because I think this one you'll like.
Ooh.
because this would be a good one that we can both have our little opinions on.
Okay.
An NFL team has proposed a rule change to make roughing the passer reviewable.
Ooh.
What's your thoughts on that?
I like that. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I like that, but I think the rule itself needs to be tweaked more than just reviewing it, because I mean, we've seen these refs, and I know this is a topic that you have. We've seen the refs just completely blow their call and stand by it because, pride. So I mean, honestly, unless it's a New York decision of overturning it, I feel like that has potential, but I don't know if it is the solution. I like it. I like the idea, though. I do like the idea. Yeah.
I have to agree, but like you said, I think they need to change a little bit of the rule of it. Because still, according to what the refs see, any kind of touch to the above the shoulders is instantly roughing the passer. So even if you barely come in and give them a little brush on the cheek, you can review it all you want. They're gonna still call that roughing the passer, even if it's reviewable. This is why I don't think that this roughing the passer reviewable change will go through.
Right.
I'd like it to, because there is a couple of times where we've seen it where it's absolutely ridiculous. But then again, I also seen the fact that said that out of the 80 calls that were roughing the passer this season, the board of committee only saw 3 that were questionable. So out of that ruling alone makes you sit there and say that rule, that roughing the passer reviewable, will just not make any sense. It will not change really much to do with the sport.
Right.
If anything, change it a little bit.
Yeah. So like that. So that being said, the reviewable is it a challenge flag? Is that what it is?
That's what that's what it would basically be. It's
okay.
Like a coach could throw the challenge flag and say, "I don't think that was roughing the passer."
Right. So it's like at that point, is it worth it to throw the challenge flag? Because you're gonna
lose
waste your time
out.
Yeah. Yeah. So like at the same time, yeah. So it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, but I think New York needs to have a bigger play in ref calling. And I mean, this is getting close. This is getting towards like AI refs, which I kind of agree with. I kind of don't agree with. Yeah, it might get to that point. I mean, humans might be just bad enough to where we need the AI to come in and be like, yeah, that was a foul. That was not a foul. I mean, especially with all the technology that we see today about like the ability of cameras and sensors to like track running in real time and track, players' interactions with each other in real time. Like, it's just insane, the capabilities of the AI. And so like, even though it would definitely lose, the human aspect of, calls and reffing, I don't know. I mean, but having a big brother in the sky, aka New York, might be the way to go for now. Like make all calls turn like, what's the word I'm looking for? Challengeable, questionable, overturned. That's the word I'm looking for, by New York. I think that's the better rule because they have the better eyes, they have the better, technology. They're not on the field running, getting tired. They're just sitting in a chair like you and me, watching from home, being like, that was not a foul or that was a foul. So
I would have to, I honestly have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like too many games this past season was ruled out in the end because of a ref throwing a flag that could have just been played out because the ref just thinks it's roughing the pass, or not roughing the pass, but like pass interference, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just they're both battling for the ball. Let the boys play.
Yep.
And it's like there's so many games this season that were, in my opinion, possible game of the years that all of a sudden one call and you were just like, "What? Okay, what just happened?"
Right.
But with that being said, there's also the news of the Rams being very likely to trade Jalen Ramsey in the coming weeks. Where are 3 places you could see him going?
Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, a cornerback.
Cornerback for the Rams.
Yep. Well, possibly won't be the Rams anymore.
Right. From the Rams. Where could he go?
Like 3 places you would like to see him go.
Like to see him go. I mean, I'd love to see him on Buffalo, but that's just a personal bias. We could use some help there. I could see him going to Detroit. Detroit could use him. That'd be a great pickup for them. They had a surprisingly good season this year, better than most thought. Some extra star power, some extra firepower there would be good. Miami could use him probably. I mean, there's a lot of like middle of the pack teams that like could use him and probably could offer him. I mean, it all depends on their, their cap space and their, which I don't know that side of it very well. That might be a you thing, or maybe not even a you thing. I don't know. I'm not sure how much you know about the the picks and cap space and that kind of stuff.
Cap space is a tough place with a lot of teams.
Yeah, this is why we are a semi-professional sports podcast, because we don't have all that information. Not yet, at least. Not yet. But yeah, where do you see him going? Where would you like to see him going?
My number 1 that I'd like to see him go is actually Detroit.
Okay.
Detroit is a team that's filled with a bunch of young, talented players that could use a veteran star like someone like Jalen Ramsey who can come in there, help them cover the pass, which I think one of their biggest weaknesses last season was too many teams were able to hit that big play pass on them. You bring in someone like Jalen Ramsey, you might be able to stop that a little bit more. I mean, their run defense was pretty good last season.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you take back to multiple games where teams were just firing all over them. And to have a veteran leader who can step up and coach, no, not really coach, but mentor some of those younger guys would be huge for them.
Yeah.
Number 2 that I'd actually have, which is sad because it wouldn't happen because of cap space, honestly, but is a New Orleans Saints team. One, imagine the defense of that team having Matthew and Ramsey out there. It would be a really good defense, especially a defense that, in my opinion, let so many fans down last season when there was so much talk of the Saints being a good team going into the season last year with the Matthew pickup and all that. And then just, I mean, in all fairness, every team in the NFC South flopped. I wouldn't say there was really one team in the NFC South that made me go, I'm proud of that team. Like, they all kind of made you go, That's why defensively, Ramsey would be great there. Third team, it's weird. I mean, it's a team that he's been on before. It's a team that drafted him. But I'd like to see him go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. As we know, they now have their franchise quarterback. Their future. The team looked really, really good last season at times. But again, their defense was one of those things that let them down last season. You bring in someone like Jalen Ramsey, the veteran guy now. You have him come in there, stop some of those plays that you just have to stop. I think you can see the Jaguars become a threat if they do that. And I think the Jaguars have the cap space for that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they've
among other trade values, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have picks that they could give away for.
Actually, speaking of picks, being that they are wanting to trade, that's one thing I'm also worried about with the fact of me saying the Saints. The Saints just recently picked up a first-round pick with, letting the Broncos get their coach.
They did.
I would be worried that the Saints would somehow do something dumb to somehow trade their first overall pick, not first overall, but first-round pick, to the Rams for Jalen Ramsey. And I feel like that'd be too much for Jalen Ramsey. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jalen Ramsey is a good player, but
He's good
at the same time, the Saints need to think about their future more than their now.
right now. Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of future, the quarterbacks C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson are said to be throwing at the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine, while Bryce Young has said he's waiting for Pro Day.
What's the difference between those two?
So the Scouting Combine is the thing that's where all the scouts are. Like
right.
everything's in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the combine.
That's not that's the huge thing that happens there. Whereas Pro Day will just be like some scouts come to the school.
Oh.
And watch some plays. Yeah, that's basically the only difference there. I think also has been reported that Kentucky quarterback Will Levi will also be throwing at the combine. The throwing sessions for quarterback prospects are scheduled for Saturday, March 4th. A little bit of stats from the young quarterbacks. Young is the number 3 overall prospect spot in Jeremiah's ranking and the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner. He threw for 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions this past season with the Crimson Tide.
Dang.
C.J. Stroud finished second in the nation in passing touchdowns, 41, with 3,688 yards and 6 interceptions. In the college football semifinal against the Georgia Bulldogs, Stroud threw for 4 touchdowns and rushed for 34 yards in the loss. So another good option there.
Yeah.
Richardson completed his sophomore season with the Gators, throwing for 2,549 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Richardson opted not to play in Florida's Las Vegas Bowl game against Oregon State in order to prepare for the draft. And the good news for everyone who wants to watch the combine, the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine begins Thursday, March 2nd, and will be live from Lucas Oil Stadium on NFL Network.
Ooh, very nice.
And that's all of the NFL news for this week.
That's all the NFL news. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Highlander, for the NFL news. Real quick, I want to get your take on the Super Bowl. Eagles fell, unfortunately, due to a ref call. In many opinions, most opinions, I would say, they didn't like it. Was a great game. You can't deny that. It was a great game. But it all came down to a ref call. Let me know. I mean, we watched it together, so I know what your initial reaction was.
It's one of those things where James Bradbury came out and admitted that he did the hold. But even with a lot of people and a lot of experts have said that there was not enough of like a pull and it could have just been played through. Because when you really look at it, there was also contact by the receiver. So they were both kind of like battling in a way. To where it could have just been like a free, let it just go. Plus, there's also the argument that it was an uncatchable ball.
It was, the thing was not very close.
Last I seen, I'm pretty sure the ball did go out of bounds when Mahomes threw it. So therefore, it would have been uncatchable no matter what. But I mean, again, congrats to the Chiefs. They had a hell of a season.
They did. They did. A comeback season, honestly. They weren't very good at the beginning.
Eagles, I mean, let's be honest. Every Eagle fan out there, we were just happy to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, coming into the season, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't expect that we'd be the number 1 team in the NFC going into that. And the fact that we only lost by 3 points in the Super Bowl, what a season for the boys.
I agree.
We just have to come out in the offseason and, do some good pickups, re-sign some of our players, and we'll be back there again next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was offseason was the biggest thing for the Eagles this last year. I mean, they had a fantastic offseason, and it showed in the regular season. I mean, what were you guys up to? Like 12-1? Wasn't it 12-1, 13-1? And then you went on a little bit of a downward spiral at the end there.
Mostly because that's when the Hurts injury happened, and Hurts was not really playing that much.
Yeah, I mean, like no one had an answer for you guys, and
I'm pretty sure Wentz was, or not Wentz.
Oh no,
Speaking of
PTSD.
yeah. I said injury, and instantly Wentz came back to mind. Look at that. Eagle fans everywhere just got a little PTSD there.
They did.
I think Hurts though this season overall, including the playoffs, was 13-1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after the Super Bowl, 13-2.
Right.
Which, I mean, for a quarterback that so many analysts said couldn't throw a deep ball accurately, couldn't be the future of the Eagles, man, oh man, did he prove them wrong. And it was great to see such a young quarterback do such a great thing like that.
It was. It really was.
And actually, you know what? I want to tip my hats off to actually a division rival. Another quarterback that got a lot of hate this past offseason, Daniel Jones.
Yes. He played very well.
The man stepped up and showed that he can carry the Giants.
Yeah.
I just think the Giants need to do a little bit of things to help him by giving him some receivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, let's go back to that divisional round, Eagles-Giants. They had a player who was wide open because the Eagles' defense just fell apart. Man was more wide open than anything, and he drops the ball. Help Daniel Jones out. Go get a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be afraid to actually spend a little money this offseason to help Daniel Jones.
I agree. I mean, you're the Giants. You have the resources. You know, there's no excuse. You're New York's team. I mean,
exactly.
You're not the Jets. The Jets aren't New York's team. Sorry, Jets fans, but you're not. Why would you do that? My computer did a little ding-a-ling.
Oh,
bling. You know, yeah. So that's.
I just read a little something that he wants $45 million a year.
Who does?
Apparently Daniel Jones.
Jones? I mean,
I don't know if
bet on yourself, young fella.
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, I feel like you haven't done enough to be asking for money at that point.
No,
I mean,
quite.
you proved yourself a season.
Yeah.
But now, like, take what you get and be happy about it.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I mean, you still got more work to do. I mean, just because you had a decent season with New York, I mean, I think decent is a fair estimate there, you know? Yeah, I think decent is the word to use because it wasn't, like, sensational. It wasn't, you know, it was solid. It was a solid year. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's worth that money yet. But he could be. He very well could be.
Yeah, I'm seeing right here from NFL expert that this comes from February 20th. The update: Giants quarterback Daniel Jones wants more than New York has offered him, possibly as much as $45 million per year or more. A source tells Mike Florio.
Wow.
And that's just one of those things again where I'm like, you've done good. I mean, which a $45 million per year contract would put him alongside Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it would, and he does not deserve that yet.
I mean, if you're comparing the two, Daniel Jones, who again had a great season, but that is just no. I'm sorry. You can't be asking and requesting a price for your contract when, I mean, like I said, next season will be the best look. Because if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the NFC East has the toughest schedule next season.
Mm-hmm.
So next season will be a good test to see how Daniel Jones actually does against some of the top teams in the league.
All right, we ready to move on to basketball?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's hear it. What's going on in the world of basketball?
Okay. So, in the world of basketball, unfortunately this year I have not been too up to date with basketball, unfortunately. I don't know what it is this year. Something about it. Something about the Hawks not being great. But basketball is still a banger. It's still always a banger. We've had crazy games going on this year. I just want to highlight Damian Lillard last night. Not sure if anyone's seen this. Damian Lillard, look at this man. This absolute legend. He had like 40-something points at halftime. He had like 10 made threes at halftime. Look at that shot. That is just insane. He ends with 71 points, 13 threes, and 6 assists. The man is just on fire last night against a team that couldn't do anything. And yeah, I mean that I saw the news about that, and I was like, what is going on? I'm like, what is going on? He is insane. And I mean, Damian Lillard has always been that guy, you know. And I mean, Trae Young had a nice performance last night too. He had a game winner over the Nets, I believe. Which, you know, for those of you who knew that the Nets had their big three in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, once upon a time James Harden, but last year he got moved. He got moved again to the 76ers. Durant is gone. Kyrie is gone. And I'm pretty sure all they have left is Ben Simmons, unless he got traded too. I'm not entirely sure about that. But now the Nets pretty much have nobody. And they were like they were a couple years ago, just kind of there, playing basketball. Because I'm pretty sure the other day they scored like 30 points at halftime. And just not great. Just not great. So, for myself and everyone who wants to know about the NBA, let's take a look at the standings. In the Eastern Conference, we've got the Boston Celtics up top, Milwaukee Bucks right behind them, 76ers, that James Harden team that I was just talking about right there. That's very typical of the Eastern Conference. Brooklyn Nets, I said they're just playing basketball right now, but look at that, they're fifth. Shut me up, Brooklyn. Do your thing. But that was probably with Kyrie and KD. Now they don't have them. We might see them fall. Probably Miami might go up. Hawks might go up because we did just have a coaching change. Nate McMillan is now fired from the Atlanta Hawks. And our other Steve Quinn, I believe that's his name. They had a nice game last night. Like I said, maybe a change of management is there. So maybe that's good for the Hawks. We'll see. Time will tell. Down here, the Bulls, Pacers, Magic, Hornets, all this is pretty typical. I'm not very surprised by that. Western Conference, you got the Nuggets, Grizzlies, John Morant. That guy is nuts. The Kings, now that's a team I'm surprised at seeing. I'll be honest. The Kings haven't been that great from my recent memory, but there they are. Suns, they're pretty solid. Clippers, my old team, they still have Paul George. They still have Kawhi. I said Kyrie too many times. And then Mavericks, Luka's there. Last year's champions, Golden State Warriors, they're right underneath there at 7th. So they could do a crazy, crazy comeback like they did last year. Damian Lillard's trying. He's trying. 29-31. Give the man some help. He's a trailblazer for life. Give him some help. Lakers down here. LeBron, it's time. You're number one on the all-scoring list. It's time. I'm sorry, bud. It's time. Your time is here. Maybe it's not. But I don't know. I think it should be. Give some room for these new up-and-coming folks to make LA Lakers a place to be. You know, it's still a place to be. It always will be a place to be. But other than that, I'm not really sure how to tie you into this, the Highlander, because
actually, there's something I want to say with the LeBron thing that was mentioning.
Go for it. I'm ready.
I was hearing a thing that LeBron's son might be going to the Magic, which would mean that LeBron would be also going to the Magic.
You
Thoughts
know
on
that there are many people say that LeBron is waiting until his son is in there so he can have at least 1 year playing with him or against him. But with that, it might be with him. I feel like LeBron would want to play against his son. That would just be my welcome to the NBA, son, you know, as he gets schooled by his son. But yeah, that would be an interesting prospect. I'll have to do some more digging into the NBA. I'll need to get back into it. I mean, just talking about it, honestly, having this podcast be a thing might be enough to get me back into it. Especially with all the trades that went on, crazy trades. Matt McClung, actually speaking to the Los Angeles Lakers, Matt McClung, guy from the G League, came in All-Star Weekend that just happened, decimated the dunk contest. He was doing dunks that we haven't seen since like the caliber of Blake Griffin back in 2009, pretty much. The freshness of the dunks were just insane. I'm pretty sure he got all 50s except for one round where he got a 49. And that's some 2K stuff. You do that in 2K. you get all 50s except for one round of 49. So Matt McClung is playing 2K in real life with the dunk contest. But yeah, with that said, that's basketball. All-Star break is done, so we're into the last stretch of games before, March Madness will come for college, but, come April, come May, the playoff picture will really be locked in, and that's when basketball really gets exciting. Really gets exciting. Highlander, take us through the wild sport of hockey. What's going on in the hockey world? Hockey and basketball kind of have a similar schedule.
They do, actually, yes.
They do.
It starts, hockey starts about the time that football starts.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it starts like a month after football.
Right.
And then it goes all the way to April, and then June is like the playoffs, all that fun stuff going. But I'm going to start this off with actually a little fun thing for you.
Oh, no.
Ullmark, goalie for the Boston Bruins,
Okay.
is now the 13th in league history and 8th to shoot and score, as he scored a goal the other night.
What?
On an empty net, but he still scored.
He's insane.
You don't really see many goalies go for the shot.
He flung it down the ice, like full ice?
Yeah, he just launched it, and you know
Dang.
what? It worked out for him.
It did?
It's one of those things where, you love to see it, especially because not many goalies are like ballsy enough to do that.
Right.
I think mostly because they're scared that you get an icing. Well, the other team gets that offensive attack in your zone. Not a fun time, especially if you're trying to hold a lead.
Yep.
But to know that he just went, I feel it. Today's the day. And he just did it.
Just slot it.
You love to see it.
I love to see that. I love to hear that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now, this week is actually a pretty crazy week in hockey. We're in the trade deadline week. Trade deadline ends this Friday at 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So this past weekend, there's been quite a few good trades, and I guarantee you there'll be some really big ones coming up further on. Let's see. We had the Colorado Avalanche acquire goaltender Keith Kincaid from the Boston Bruins in exchange for forward Shane Bowers. I think if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Colorado isn't having the best of seasons this season. They're sixth right now in the West. So I mean, they went, last year's Stanley Cup champions. They want to do it again.
Of course.
So bringing in a little bit of goalie help always helps the situation a little bit. Let's see what else we got. We have the Vancouver Canucks acquired forward Vitaly Kravtsov from the New York Rangers in exchange for forward William Lockwood and a 7th round pick in the 2026 NHL draft. Let's see. We also have the Winnipeg Jets acquired Nino Niederreiter, the Nashville Predators, in exchange for a 2nd round pick in the 2024 NHL draft.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I gotta say that's really different from hockey to other sports, which I just want to add in a little bit. If you notice, when there's like trades for like the NFL, trades are always like the draft picks are always usually for that year or the year after. But you'll notice in hockey, they do trades where like the draft picks that they'll take will be like a couple years in the future. Yeah. It's a little different than what you're used to seeing, which is always something that always kind of blows my mind that someone would take like a 7th round pick in 2026. when it's like you don't even know what's going on in that year yet.
No, not at all.
We then have the Dallas Stars acquired forward Evgeny Dayanov from the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for forward Denis Gurianov. I know I'm going to mess up some of these names, and I apologize ahead of time to anyone out there. Some of these names are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We got the Vegas Golden Knights acquiring forward Ivan Barbashev from the St. Louis Blues in exchange for forward Zach Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Big pickup there.
Huge pickup, yeah.
We have the Colorado Avalanche acquiring defenseman Jack Johnson from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for defenseman Andreas England. Again, Colorado being in that 6th spot, picking up another player, like a defensive player, that can help them go a long way. This one right here is the one that is actually kind of like big news stuff.
Okay, I'm ready.
We have the New Jersey Devils acquire forwards Timo Meyer and Timur Ibragimov, defenseman Scott Harrington and Santeri Hataka, goalie Zachary Emont, and a 5th round pick in the 2024 NHL draft. From the San Jose Sharks, which is, a good one. The Sharks will get forwards Fabian Zetterlund, Andreas Johnson, defenseman Shakir Mohammadulin, and Nikita Otiak, and a conditional 1st round pick in the 2023 draft, a conditional 2nd round pick in the 2024 draft, and a 7th round pick in the 2024 NHL draft. Now, the thing with this is the Devils are a team that are currently they're making a surprising run this season. Right now, they're 3rd in the East. And the good news about that is getting a player like Timo Meyer is that's a man who can come in there and help them out on offense, get some points for them. That's something that the Devils want to go pretty far this season.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 3rd already. I mean, there's a good chance that you might fall off a little bit as the season goes to the end. But right now you have 83 points. You're sitting in a good spot. I mean, again, Boston is still dominating the East. I mean, Boston has yet to get double-digit losses this season. I mean, right now Boston's up there sitting at 45 wins, 8 losses, and 5 OT losses. So, I mean, technically they do have double-digit losses, but it just looks clean to see 45, 8, and 5. Sitting at almost perfect with 95 points already. Boston, basically, they're in. Like, Boston, they're happy times. So looking at New Jersey, picking up a good forward like that helps them, push towards a little bit of something. And then we also have that the Tampa Bay Lightning acquire forward Tanner Jeanette from the Nashville Predators in exchange for defenseman Cal Foote, a conditional 1st round pick in the 2025 NHL draft, a 2nd round pick in the 2024 draft, and a 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the 2023 draft. So basically, Nashville's getting some good stuff out of this. Yep. Whereas, I from what I've heard, Tanner Jeanette is somewhat of like a newer player. So I guess Tampa with the success that they've had the past so many years now, they're bringing in someone a little different, trying to add a little spice, I guess you could say, to their defense or to their offense. Yeah. Whereas Cal Foote's been a player on the Lightning for a couple years now, where he's been a part of their success on the defense. Like, he's been part of their team during their Stanley Cup runs. So it's interesting to see them let him go to the Predators. But again, I mean, the Predators get a little help. Let's see what the Predators are currently sitting in 10th. So they're outside the playoffs right now. But right now, 8th is Seattle at 70, 9th is Calgary at 66, and they're there at 64. They're still in it. I mean, you get a good defensive player, you might be able to push up a little bit and possibly hit that 8th spot before April. We also have the Nashville Predators also acquire forward Isaac Ratcliffe from the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for future consideration. Interesting to see what that will end up being down the road, of what those future considerations are.
Right.
But yeah, that's that news. There was also big news with yesterday's what was it? It was the Pittsburgh versus Lightning game last night,
Mm-hmm.
where they were down 2-1 in the first period,
Mm-hmm.
and then they scored 6 in the second period.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure they scored 4 of them in the matter of like 2 minutes and something. It was a crazy record thing that they did last night.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say, is that a record to score 6 goals in a period?
It was something wild. Like, I think it was like, what was it, like 4 and maybe like 3 minutes? I think it was some crazy stat thing where it was like, that's just insane. And then they ended up beating the Lightning 7-3.
Dang.
So that was a big win for the Penguins leading into that one.
Huge win.
Recently, I've noticed the NHL is a lot different than what it used to be. The NHL used to have a lot of close games.
Mm-hmm.
This season has had a lot of blowout. And it makes you just wonder why.
Yeah.
Why
the goalies
is
getting
this
worse, or are the offensive players getting better?
I mean, yeah, like if I go through some of the scores last night, just last night's game alone, you have Buffalo 7-4. Islanders 1-4-0. The only one that was actually semi-close, actually the one that was close, was the Minnesota-Columbus game, which ended in overtime 3-2. Islanders 4-0 Winnipeg. The Rangers 5-2 the LA Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like I said, Pittsburgh 7-3 Tampa. Toronto 5-1 Seattle. And Nashville 6-2
Hmm.
Arizona. It's becoming a score fest in the NHL recently.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you like think like those goalies are pretty big. The nets are pretty small. Like, do they need to shrink the nets more?
I don't think it's the goalies. I just think it's these young players now are doing some crazy things that, honestly, they're making hockey exciting.
Would you say most of the goalies are veterans?
I mean, you have your veterans out there, but I feel like there is a lot more youth in goalies now. I mean, a lot of like the old school goalies, they've retired now mostly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and again, you have players doing like the Michigan and stuff like that on people where they're like scoring behind the net.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, as a goalie, how do you really prepare for someone to just out of nowhere lift the puck up on their stick behind your net and scoop it into you? Like, it's just,
yeah.
I mean, when you have like trick stuff like that happen, it's getting harder for these goalies.
Good segue into baseball here. And so baseball is here, and I am up to the bat, if you will.
I like it.
Thank you. No tomatoes, please. So baseball is here, almost here, actually. We're getting out of the realm of current sports, and we're diving into the realm of the preseason now. So we went from postseason to, in season to now to preseason. So baseball, I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about with this baseball thing, but I just realized that there's a lot of rule changes this year to baseball. And as we can see here, one of which, the most important and the biggest, being a pitch timer that is in effect for pitchers. But it doesn't just affect pitchers anymore. It also affects the batters in some sense. So in an attempt to shorten the games, they have introduced a pitch timer. So pitchers can't just roam around and take their time and just milk the batter, and the batter steps out and makes the pitcher. It was a mental game. It was kind of fun to watch, but it was mostly just annoying. So now pitchers are on a pitch timer. From the start of the game, you throw your first pitch, or the start of the inning, you throw your first pitch, you're on the clock. 15 seconds before you need to throw another pitch. So that's for the pitcher. For the batter, you need to be in the batter's box and looking at the pitcher, ready for the pitch to be thrown by 8 seconds. Or else you get a strike added onto you immediately. And the first person to fall prey to this was San Diego Padres player Manny Machado. Dislike him very much. So good on him. But Yeah. So in an interview that he was given after the game, he said, "Yeah, it's going to be I'm gonna have to get used to that, and I'm probably going to be down 0-1 quite a lot this year." So, he's that was a good answer by him, honestly. Yeah, automatic ball. Oh, automatic ball or strike. I don't know how the ball works. Oh, I guess if the pitcher doesn't do it. Yep, if the
Yeah,
pitcher isn't ready, it's
I'd
a ball.
assume that's
That
the
makes sense.
pitcher.
Yep. So now there's more else. There's shift restrictions. So a shift in baseball is when the defense puts most of their team in one side of the field versus the other side, because right-handers are going to more than likely hit it to the left side of the field. Left-handers going to hit it to the right side of the field. So teams. You see teams constantly shifting back and forth between the batter, and so it's going to lead to more hits and more athleticism. In my mind, it's going to lead to more injuries, but I didn't mind the shift, honestly. It kind of made the batter had to be better, and we still saw a lot of offense because of it. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about the shift restriction. I mean, it's interesting. It definitely reduces baseball down to its core mechanics. Infielders need both feet on dirt at pitch release. That's interesting. The infielders do. They can't. No, they can't be out in the outfield then. That makes sense. I like that rule, actually. I kind of do like that rule. And then another big rule is bigger bases. So this was happening a lot this past season, especially where runners were getting hurt because there just wasn't enough space on the base for them to slide or just get in effectively. So bigger bases, they're going for increased safety and more aggressive base running, which I see from there, which is nice. Because we haven't really seen a lot of steals. I mean, we've seen them, but it's mainly just from the really, really fast guys, which makes sense. But I do love seeing bases stolen. Back when I was playing in modified baseball, oh man, little 8th grade me. If I ever got on the base, which was rare, I was stealing. And so I love watching the steal. And I also love watching the catchers trying to throw them out. Some of those catchers are just insane with their arms. But so yeah, those are the 3 major rules that they have implemented this year, which is very surprising. Very surprising. Because this pitch timer conversation has been in effect for probably the past 5-6 years. I mean, people have been wanting this for a long, long time. And now they have it. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, 15 seconds, you count 15 seconds in your head, and it's a long time. You play it out in a game, and it's like, man, especially when you have from 15 seconds to 8 seconds for the batter to be ready, you can't do any sort of long ritual anymore. You got to get in there, and you got to change your rhythm up to when you're ready and looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds left. So I like it. I really do, because I'll be able to get to see this rule change in effect, actually. May 9th, I'm going to go see Red Sox at Braves. It's happening again this year, which is very surprising, actually, because they normally don't play. But, yeah, so May 9th, I'll be there. I'll be cheering on my boys, and hoping we don't lose, which we might. Yeah, so talking about preseason, talking about stuff going on in baseball. They've got the preseason games are underway, like I said. So we've seen the rules in action. And I haven't paid much attention to the off season of baseball, but I know from the Red Sox point of view, we lost a lot of people, and it's very sad to see. We picked up some people, but we've lost more of our main people. I mean, we made the Padres stronger. I know that. Xander Bogaerts is a Padre, which is terrifying because they have so many weapons now. Yeah, so next week I will definitely have some more for baseball in the terms of trades and free agency and that kind of stuff going on. But way too early prediction from me for World Series. it's going to be. I think the Padres are getting to the World Series. I do. I think they're getting to. I think they're getting to the World Series. Unfortunately, for me, I think the Red Sox are going to be last in our division again this year, which is very unfortunate. But our division is stacked as well. I mean, the Orioles are good. The Yankees are good. I mean, the Rays are solid, and Tampa are all solid teams. So it's not surprising that Boston is going to be bottom of the barrel again this year. But yeah, so Padres in the World Series. That's what I'm saying. Padres are in the World Series, and hold on.
That's a bold prediction.
I think so. I mean, they have the pieces. They have the pieces.
They just have to get past the Dodgers is the thing.
They do. They have to get past the Dodgers. But I think they could because, I mean, the Dodgers have picked up a lot of players over the past couple of years, and they are a powerhouse team as well. But the Padres have been having their own powerhouse team for a little while now. And I think they're going to make it. I really do. If not, then they'll get very close. Like, they'll probably go to the championship game maybe. But I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it. And for the other side, I'm not entirely sure who's going to make it. I could see there's so many teams actually. There's so many teams. I mean, I could see the Yankees getting there, which is just terrible. I mean, people from my own division, I could see getting there. Yeah, so hold out. Next week, I'll have the American League. I'll have them. I'll have their World Series to take on the Padres next.
Oh, you're leaving everyone on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I am. So get ready. Get ready. So, with baseball out of the way, let's turn our view over to the National Rugby League. In the future, we're going to have Regal come on because he is our resident Australian rugby genius. But for now, we're going to have Highlander.
Like genius is a little bit of a overshot there, but you know,
we don't have the capabilities to bring Regal on right now, unfortunately. But in the future, we will. We definitely will. So yes. So for the first episode, let's get Highlander's opinion on all things rugby. Because I mean, Highlander's been putting in the hours. He's been putting in the hours for rugby. So I trust him.
Thanks. You know, honestly, thanks to Regal
Yeah.
and the Australians that have got me into this wonderful sport. Which I mean, it's kind of a trade-off. You know, I got Regal and Regal into the NFL. So it was only fair that he also, you know, got me into his country's, you know, fun sport. Which I mean, this will be my second. I mean, is it? Or I think this might actually be my third year
season,
technically.
Maybe.
Like second full season. But I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like 3 seasons ago was when Regal first tried getting me into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I watched here and there, didn't really like choose a team. Like, oh yeah, it's interesting. Last season though, I really got into it. You know, I got into the whole fantasy side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot last season, honestly, about a lot of things, and that's why I am honored to talk about this kind of thing now that I kind of understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you know, good news to anyone who's interested in the NRL.
Actually, I have one thing to say, actually, and I want to get your opinion on this.
Yes.
Direct your attention to the screen.
Okay,
Spencer Leniu leaving the Panthers at the end of this season. What about that?
Yeah, honestly, it's a that one right there is actually a crazy thing for the fact of the Panthers are losing yet again another player now. Which you know what's crazy about that, Regal, is I've seen that, but the thing about it is the NRL has not confirmed that yet. There's nothing. I did a lot of research today. No specific professional has confirmed that yet.
Hmm.
That is only a rumored thing. Do I think it's gonna happen? Probably, but I feel like there's hope that he could go somewhere else still. Okay, well, see, once I'm still holding out hope though until we see the actual confirmation of it. He still goes somewhere.
We're getting reports from Regal directly. Leniu said it himself. He's going to the Roosters at the end of this season.
Welcome to NRL news.
Well, that's something. But so what does that mean for the Roosters next season, Highlander? Because the Roosters are kind of the laughing stock of the NRL, right?
No, they're not the laughing stock. No,
okay.
No. The Roosters are a pretty good team.
Okay.
That are no. Honestly, the laughing stock of the team or the league last season and the seasons before that, it was the Gold Coast Titans. I'm sorry if there's any fans out there. I apologize for you guys for the suffering that you have to witness on every week. But after the preseason, I honestly think the laughing stock this season could be the Dolphins, the brand new team into the league. But no, the Roosters are a really good team. As much as I don't like to admit that, being a Bunnies fan, the Roosters are basically like the Cowboys to us in the NFL. So basically, big rivals. We're the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're the Sydney Roosters.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that kind of thing. So adding that, I mean, they just added in Brandon Smith to be their hooker this year. That's a big pickup coming from Melbourne. He did a lot of great things for the Storm. Now that he's coming over to the Roosters this season, I think he'll help out that Roosters team a lot this season. And then now if they really do pick up Spencer Leniu, who has been on a team now who's won back-to-back premierships. I mean, that Roosters team is looking like they're trying to, win it all. They want it, which it's shocking that he didn't go to the Bulldogs though, because recently the Bulldogs have also taken a couple Panther players. So currently, there's a lot of Panther players that are leaving and going to these other teams now, to where I'm starting to think that the reign of the Panthers might be over soon. Which I mean, to some, that's exciting.
Okay, I like that.
Other than that, I mean, the only crazy news that's really comes out of the NRL currently before the season begins is that following the 2023 season, Brisbane Bronco players Herbie Farnworth and Thomas Flegler are set to join the Dolphins for the 2024 season. Farnworth is signing a 3-year deal, and Flegler is signing a 4-year deal. Meanwhile, the Broncos forward Corey Jensen and hooker Corey Pakes has re-signed with the club on a 2-year contract extension. So Broncos losing 2 people, but they're keeping 2 people at the same time. Do I think that Herbie Farnworth and Thomas Flegler going to the Dolphins is a smart move? I mean, for the Dolphins, it's a good move. For them,
of course,
I think it's an interesting one, to say the least. I think the Dolphins are one of those teams that might struggle for a few years before they finally start, going decently. So to leave a team like the Broncos and go to the Dolphins it's strange to me. But I mean, who knows? Maybe those two go over there and they help change the dynamic of the Dolphins. I mean, yeah, the Broncos, though, in my opinion, this season is one of the top teams this season. I think. I think the Broncos are one of those teams that will possibly make the grand finals even. So, I mean, losing 2 players is always a sad to see after the season. But, I mean, hopefully they have a really good season and those players can go out with a little bit of a bang for Brisbane. We also have that the Sharks center Jesse Ramian has re-signed with the club on a 3-year contract extension. With him being already committed to this season, The new contract will see the 25-year-old remain in the Sharks jersey until at least the end of the 2026 season. Staying on the Sharks, this is breaking news for round one. Sharks player Nico Hines is in doubt for Saturday's season opener against the Rabbitohs due to a calf strain. Hines told reporters on Monday he wasn't sure if he would line up after picking up an injury at training last week. So that's huge news for the Sharks because I mean, Nico Hines is one of their star players. Without Hines, I think the Sharks get absolutely destroyed on Saturday. I mean, either way, I kind of had, even though, I mean, yes, it sounds biased, but on paper, the Bunnies are the better team. So I had the Bunnies beating the Sharks no matter what. But now with Hines, if he doesn't play, that's just going to be, I think it is just going to be really bad for the Sharks and a long opener for them. And I mean, I had the potential Lenu thing on here as well, but you hit me with that surprise. You hit me with the surprise Lenu one.
I did.
I wasn't ready for that. Bam! I was like, wow, look at that.
I had it pulled up.
You know what? It was shocking to see that though. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me wonder what other Panther is gonna be leaving next. With the way that they're all. I mean, there's one Panther that we all know won't be leaving. Nathan Cleary. At least we don't think he'll leave his dad. I mean, it'd be weird if he did.
Right. Why would he?
Exactly. But yeah, the exciting news with that is, 3 days, NRL is officially back. I mean, Crichton leaving at the end of the season. That's a big one. I mean, everything that kind of like all the stars of the Panthers leaving the team. It's crazy because the last couple seasons, as much as like, you want your team to beat them and stuff, the Panthers have been a fun team to watch of how dominant they are. So the more players are losing, the more you start to go, will they be as flashy and exciting as they've been? Or, which I mean, in the preseason game, where they played with the World Club Series they did, where they faced the Super League's champion, which is the Australian League versus the British League. Winner of both those leagues face each other. That happened. And honestly, that game was actually kind of terrible on both sides. Very low scoring. And it was only a 13-12 game for the whole game. It actually went to golden point shot somehow. I mean, the whole game, St. Helens had the lead, and Penrith did not look good at all. Their hooker position looked terrible, which again, they lost Coruscant to the Tigers. So, I mean, it showed.
Yeah.
It definitely showed there. I'm hoping when they get their fullback, Dylan Edwards, back for round one, that the Panthers will look a little bit better than what they did, because that team, they look lost in it. And to lose to St. Helens, I mean, I've seen a lot of Australians talking about this, how it was an embarrassing loss for them. A team that's supposedly as dominant as the Panthers are as well. I mean, it took them so long to get a try, and then when they finally got their second try, was at the very end of the game. Which was honestly, I don't even know how they got the second try. It was like somehow it was some kind of like weird play that turned out to be it worked.
Yeah,
it shouldn't have worked, but it did. And then of course Golden Point, Crichton, which is funny because he's leaving the team after this season. First play of Golden Point, Crichton dropped the ball and gave the ball to the St. Helens team, and St. Helens kicked the field goal for the win.
Beautiful.
And it was a very sad day for that. But yeah, with that, I'm pretty sure that's basically all for the NRL. And again, next week will be a lot more exciting because, I mean, the season will be started. We'll know a lot more.
Yep.
I have a little bit more to talk
matches
about.
Will have happened.
Oh, yeah. Possible.
Will the whole first round have happened yet, or no? Not yet when we record next week.
Only one team
One team.
Because
there's a bye every week.
Yes, because of the fact that they added the Dolphins in this year and didn't add a second team with them, the league is now uneven. So because of that, there must be a bye week every week for at least one team, which is sad. So this week, we'll be missing out on the Dragons, I believe. Yes, the Dragons. The Dragons they're the first team that loses out on their the first round, which hopefully I'm hoping that they get this figured out soon.
Yeah.
So that way, we can get all the games again and all that fun stuff. But yeah, every other team though will have their first round.
I mean, it would need to be next season though that they would figure that out, right? They would need to bring on another team or cut a team, but probably bring on another team.
They would definitely bring on another one.
They can't just add a team mid-season. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. So
it's one of those things where without there even really being talks, I don't know if it would even be set for it would set for next season.
Yeah.
I think it would be like 2 seasons from now we'd finally get a second.
Yeah. Without further ado, let's move on to the eSports report, brought to you in part by my brain. So, yeah, well, we don't have any sponsors yet, so I've got to, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's a spot open. There's many spots open actually, but
listen, we'll take anything.
Well, I mean, we'll consider a lot of things. Let's not say we'll take a lot of things, but yeah. So, first off, I'm gonna talk about the Call of Duty League because that's the one that I know the most about, and the one where Hylander also knows the most about. So, for those of you who do not know, the Call of Duty League is the video game Call of Duty, played competitively. It is actually how Hylander and I met when both of us had aspirations of becoming professional Call of Duty players. How ignorant we were. Not ignorant, just dumb. We sold ourselves quite high, but that is how Hylander and I met. Fun fact, back in 2013 on a game called Black Ops 2, best Call of Duty to date. Change my mind, you won't. So don't even try. Anyway, this year, 4th season of the Call of Duty League, the actual league set up by Activision, set up by Call of Duty themselves. And it's a banger. And so I want to talk about the breaking news that has happened recently. Just late last week, we got news that the LA Guerrillas are going to be losing their spot in the Call of Duty League. They're going to be pulling out, withdrawing. They're actually the organization, the Guard, has fired all their employees. And they are pulling all of their teams except for the Valorant squad, I believe. So crazy moves out of the Guard to just drop everybody and fire everybody. But yeah, so the Los Angeles Guerrillas, who are not doing too hot either, let me say, they need a buyer pretty much. And the buy-in for the Call of Duty League is $25 million. So yeah, open up your wallets, people. So yeah, that is the biggest news that has happened for sure.
I'm hearing reports that the OW team will also compete.
Oh, the OW team for the Guard. Who are they?
Question. I think they're just
the Guard.
Are they the LA Gladiators?
Overwatch team.
Yeah, they're the Gladiators. The LA Gladiators are theirs.
Right, but at the end of this season, they'll be done. They'll be done.
Probably.
At the end of their respective seasons, if a buyer is not found for their franchise slots.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm reporting on. They're still playing for the remainder of the season that they have, but come the off season of their respective esports, they're done. Unless they get a buyer. Right. If they get a buyer, it's fine. If they don't, who knows? Which, I mean, honestly, the whole $25 million buy-in is just extremely greedy on Activision, extremely greedy on the Call of Duty League in general. I mean, we don't even have that big of an audience. We do now that it's back on Twitch, but still, I mean, you're just being extremely greedy for something that you don't get much return on investment for. So there's that. I personally think that if you lowered the price for like a $5 million buy-in, we'd be getting so many different teams jumping in. We would have a 32-team league. It would be absolutely insane. But right now we have 12 teams, and I mean the level of competition is insane, like it would be with 12 teams, obviously. But yeah, it is just absolutely mind blowing that they are just going to be dropping out for apparently no big reason. Honestly, just this is what we're doing. So taking our attention over to the standings of the Call of Duty League for this year, we've had 2 majors. So the Call of Duty League is split into 5 majors for the year, and then you have the championship tournament champs at the end of that. Probably going to happen in like June-ish. So as of right now, these are the 12 teams that you see on your screen here. Atlanta FaZe up top. Nobody's surprised by that. New York Subliners have had a crazy start to their season this year, dropping Crim6 in the offseason. Crim6 retiring, actually, for the offseason. And roster mania galore for Call of Duty, as always. But biggest news recently as well is that Optic Scumpy, the man, the myth, the legend, has retired. Right after this Major 2, he retired. After the first game of Major 3, he retired. He was supposed to go the entire year, but he misjudged his energy, and he retired early. He's been playing professional Call of Duty for the past 13 seasons, pretty much all with Optic. And yeah, in my mind, he is the greatest Call of Duty player of all time, due to his submachine gun role and just the impact that he's had year in, year out. He has never really had a bad year, if you don't count World War II, which was just a terrible Call of Duty, especially competitively. So yeah, he's the GOAT. No questions. Once again, you won't change my mind. You just won't do it. But yeah, this is how the league is stacking up this year. And so we've had 2 winners so far. We've had FaZe winning the last Major 2. We had New York Subliners winning Major 1. And honestly, I mean, with the league being so stacked as it is, we could see many teams, getting hot on any given weekend and taking a major. Funnily enough, this Stage 3 has been rather disappointing for one team, Minnesota Rocker. Although they're 10-8, as you can see, they are currently 0-3 right now in this split, if you will. After they had a fantastic run at Major 2, they ended up top 3 at Major 2, and then they've just had a 0-3 stink show for Major 3 so far. So who knows what's going on with them, if they're just LAN monsters, if they just don't like online play. It's normally the opposite. You're normally really good online, and you don't show up for LAN. But not with them, I guess. They like LAN, and they don't like online. So, yeah. So, hot take for Major 3 victors. I could see FaZe repeating. I could see Ultra coming in hot. I could see Thieves coming in. But other than those 3, I don't see Subliners coming in. I think Subliners are more of a beginning team. They just figured out the game, and they're still solid. They're still really good, but I don't see them making it that far in any really major anymore. So, especially with the level of play, with the trades that have been happening. Yeah, so FaZe, Ultra, Thieves, I could see them taking it. I'm gonna give Ultra the win here for Major 3 in the Optic Texas Major. Optic Texas Major 3. I'm giving it to the Toronto Ultra, and we'll definitely, I'll do a little something later on when the actual major comes. to give predictions and map counts and everything, and give a little more updates on Call of Duty as a whole. Then, Rocket League is honestly just kind of starting out again since their last World Championship, pretty much. So I haven't really watched much of them. So there's not really much to report on there. But Halo has started back up again, and they just had their first LAN, and where Optic Gaming took it. They defeated FaZe Clan, in not only the grand finals, but they also faced them in the winners finals and reverse swept them to get to the grand finals, and then put them down in the grand finals as well. So this would be the third time in a row that Optic has won, dating back to last season. They won the last major, and then they won the World Championships, and now they won the first major of this year. So Optic is firing on all cylinders. Honestly, I mean, they are the best team in the game. Time in, time out, they're always really far. They go on a run. And the biggest person of note for Optic Gaming in the Halo side is Mr. Optic Formal right here. Came to eSports in Halo originally, moved from Halo to Call of Duty back many years ago in COD Ghosts, so about 10 years ago. Became the greatest AR we've ever seen in Call of Duty history. Retires at the end of Black Ops Cold War, so 2 seasons ago now. Says he's done. Psych, he's going to Halo again. Halo Infinite drops. It's a great game. He plays it, loves it, gets his spot on Optic, and they win. They win things because Formal is there, the human UAV, always calling out, always being a nuisance, having the aim of just a Navy SEAL, pretty much. So, Highlander didn't give you a chance to speak at all about Call of Duty. The one thing that you could have talked about, pretty much, well, not the one thing, but the thing you could have talked about with the most gusto, LA Thieves. How have you been watching much COD?
I've watched a bit this season.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that this COD is a lot more fun to watch than previous CODs.
Yeah.
My one downside to this season is there's some maps that I feel are terrible.
Yep.
And I still to this day wish that there could be a COD that just made different guns, but kind of kept like some of the best maps, or at least made maps that are similar to that. For instance, one of the maps that I hate the most, and I know this from playing ranked play recently, is El Asilo.
Mm-hmm.
There's control and search on that map.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest takeaway I have from that map is you could have all 4 of your players talking to each other, watching all 4 lanes, and yet somehow someone's still behind you and flanks and kills the whole team.
Yep.
Because there's just way too much open area and weird like paths. It's so weird. It's bad when every single round is basically behind us. Behind.
Yeah.
I'm dead from behind. Other than that, it's been a fun year of COD watching.
It has been. Yeah.
I want to call you out on something that you missed though.
Oh.
You made the comments about the goat Scump
Okay.
retiring.
Yeah.
But you missed out on the next tournament after that. We had the loss of Methods.
Yep. Methods,
After he retired.
aka Zinni. Yep. Methods did retire.
He then retired at the next event.
Player for the Boston Breach. Yep. Which he's been a
He
staple.
was basically,
He's been a staple. He has one championship to his name.
which I feel like he deserved more.
He definitely did. He definitely got the short end of the stick. I mean, he was replaced on Toronto Ultra back in the beginning of Black Ops Cold War, and I mean, rightfully so, but also not really because he wasn't underperforming by any
No.
stretch of the imagination. I mean, he had the only 1v4 that we saw like up to that point for that game. So, but with that said, Insight comes in. Insight is a tremendous player, full of youth, full of the gunny, and he is. I mean, it was a smart move, but Methods was relegated to challengers, and I mean, good on him. He made it out of there, and I mean, he was the face of an organization, the new Boston organization that came in, and I was rooting for him. I really was. I mean, if they weren't facing Optic, I was rooting for Boston because I mean, I like my Boston teams, but yeah. So he called it quits after last Major 2, and it was in Boston, so it was a great send out for him. And then just a couple days later, he moves on to Optic Gaming. And I actually did see. Hold on a second. I did see.
And to clarify to people who don't know, he moved to Optic to be a content creator.
He did.
Not
Not
Optic to play.
Not to play. No, not to play. Let's see.
Just wanted to clear that up. Not that it seemed
Yep.
like he took Scump's place. That didn't happen.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yes. So, coming down the pipeline, March 5th,
Okay.
we've got Scump and Methods making their own post show
Love that.
to the Call of Duty League called The Breakdown, March 5th.
Is it bad that I'm not surprised by that?
Not surprised at all. No. I mean, from Scump, Methods did say that Scump was a big reason why he retired because they had plans when Scump was going to retire that Zinni was going to retire shortly afterwards, and then they were going to both do their thing on Optics. So just moved them up a little bit, moved up the timeline a little bit from Scump retiring to Zinni retiring. But honestly, I mean, Zinni's still getting hate. He really is because everyone's just like, man, I wish Methods didn't just automatically come with Scump. And I'm just like, man, come on. Methods is hilarious. He's hilarious. And he's a great guy to have for an organization. He knows what to say. He's very professional. He cares about other people and his opinions, and he has opinions. He's a talker. He's kind of like me. But yeah, so that's big news for Optic Gaming as a whole and for Scump, and especially Zinni, because he had a little bit of his content days when he was down in Challengers, and he really liked it. He said he did really well. Actually, he was judge of the guest of the year on The Flank, which is Zuma's podcast for FaZe. He was guest of the year back on the Black Ops Cold War season, and he was doing great in the content game. He gained a lot of followers, and those followers followed him to Boston, and he gave them a great base to go off of. So he's done a lot for this league, and I like seeing that he's on a very solid organization. He's with one of his great friends in Scump, and they're doing a lot of stuff together. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I didn't forget about Zinni. I just didn't think, based on the caliber of Scump retiring, I didn't think it was as important.
I mean,
it's important.
You just have the Major 1 retirement, and you have to do the Major. Now it makes you wonder: is anyone going to retire after Major 3? Like, we're going to have 3 straight retirements?
Yeah.
That could be. That could be the whole thing for this season. There's just a new retirement after every major this year.
It could be. I mean, the next person on the chopping block would be Clayster, but
you know what?
But I don't see him leaving. Honestly, he's got too much fight in him, and I mean, he's Paris's guy. I mean, you could say it's Donnie 10, but
I don't know if it's fire he has in him or just I don't know. I think he just has
stubborn.
that thing where I just think he won't quit.
Stubborn.
I mean, Clayster could be the worst on the team, and he'd still would be like, "Nah, I'm playing. Someone else is the problem."
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, people say that Clayster's the only one left, which I mean, he technically is the only one left standing from the old days. But I also don't really find that 100% true, or I don't believe that, because I feel like Scump was the last one standing, because Glacier also had his stint in Challengers very recently, where he was let go from organizations because he wasn't doing enough, and then he fought back. Good on him. But like, he hasn't stayed in it like all the other old guys did. They didn't go down to Challengers. They didn't have to go down to Challengers because they always gave their orgs what they needed, and going down to Challengers wasn't even an option. I think Krim, maybe this year, he would go down to Challengers, but he wasn't doing that. So in my mind, Scump was the last one standing, even though Glacier is still in there fighting. But Glacier, he's a great player. I mean, he's great, but at the same time, it's kind of time for him too. I mean, he's
a good hype man.
He is a good hype man. He is a good hype man. That's true.
That's like one of the main things he's known for, is when he's yelling and going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Usually his teams win.
Yeah.
But when he's not in the yelling and going wild moment, that usually means his team is getting, well, they're usually getting knocked out of whatever tournament
they're
getting
in. Worked on. I mean, but him being on Paris this year has definitely risen them to a new level, because Paris was the laughing stock of the league last year. They were bottom of the leaderboard. I think they got one win.
Are they still Paris?
They're not Paris anymore. They are Vegas Legion. That's
okay,
right.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait, I thought they weren't Paris anymore.
Yes, they are Vegas. So that's my mistake. Old habits die hard. 3 years of them being Paris. Now they're Vegas. So, Vegas. So other than that, that's really all I have for the eSport report. Unless you
have
something to say. Okay, hot take. I love it.
I have a hot take for the CDL.
Okay, who do you see for Major 3 champions?
Major 3 champions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a little crazy one here, and I'm gonna go ahead and say Optic.
Really?
I think they have the most to prove.
Yeah. So, a little backstory: Optic has had a crazy season this year, which is why Scump also retired, I believe, because it was just too much hectic stuff going on. Their absolute star AR Dashy was almost dropped from the team during the off season, as well as Illy. Then they both came back as we pranked you, but not really. It was actually real. Major 1 didn't go their way. They were dropping Dashy again to pick up Hook from the LA Gorillas. Nonetheless, the team we just talked about, from just dropping their Hook dodged a bullet, honestly.
Yeah.
And Hook has been playing pretty well as of late. He came into the Optic camp and he's done well for them, as well as you can be expected, I guess, for a player of his situation. But so then Scump retires, and then they're just like, oh man, who are we going to pick up now? And it's Dashy. Dashy comes back in again, back into Optic after he was trash talking everybody, not everybody, but mainly Rambo Ray, their coach, for bowling during scrims, which wasn't denied, but it is what it is, I guess. So now Major 2 didn't go the way they wanted. I mean, they got top 4 still, which was very, very typical. So they drop Illy again. So at the end of the day, Illy's gone. Dashy's there, which during the offseason, Illy left because they were getting rid of Dashy. So now it's Uno reverse card. Just kidding. You're gone. I'm staying. So now they pick up Challengers player Ghosty, which is the first time Optic has picked up a Challenger player ever, because they haven't needed to, honestly. Everyone wants to play for Optic. Everyone wants to go there. People were thinking that it was going to be Arcides. It was actually going to be Pred from Seattle Surge, but Surge kind of trolled the whole situation and said to Optic, yeah, we weren't serious about this at all. So they ended up going with Ghosty. And Ghosty has been the best AR in the Challenger scene for a long time now. And he's come into the league and he's proven himself. He really has. I mean, it was a very good pickup by him. So I could see Optic getting hot. I could see it. They've got a whole bunch of young guys with Dashy being the oldest guy now, which is crazy because I still view him as a young kid. But yeah, so I don't hate that. I don't hate that take. I don't hate that take, but that wasn't your hot take. So what was your
No.
hot take?
This hot take is going to be something that I feel like a lot of people from back in the day, COD, would agree.
Oh,
I think the CDL making this a league kind of killed COD a little bit. I mean, yes, COD is still exciting, but like, I miss the old school ways of COD in a way.
Yeah. I
this
hear
whole
you.
buy-in thing is just, again, we used to have like hundreds of teams. Like COD champs used to be, there would at least be a team from every continent competing, and like you'd see a team from Australia or something like that pull some crazy upsets, and you're like, this is awesome.
Nowhere.
Never heard of this team before in my life. They're just some random team that won the Oceania area, got into COD champs, and now they're in the top 8. And it was crazy to see. Now with doing the CDL COD League, one, it limits, like, to me, people getting into the league.
Oh, for sure.
Now it's even harder because I mean, there's only 12 teams.
12 teams.
And I mean,
$25 million buy-in. I wonder why.
Well, yeah. I think that right there is the dumbest thing ever.
That needs to go down.
You drop that, and I guarantee you,
even 10 million. Most orgs could probably swing that.
Like, you'd have so many more. If this league had like 50 teams,
oh yeah,
COD would be so exciting.
It would be insane to watch, but it would be almost impossible to watch, actually. But I mean, I do like the structure.
In the conferences, I feel at that point.
Oh, for sure. The structure of the league is good. I think it's good. They finally have it in a place where it makes sense. The structure's good. I do like the the security that the players have now, because that wasn't a thing back in the day. It really wasn't. And now, I mean, you get on a major league team, and I mean, you're at the minimum you're getting paid $60K. So that's a solid salary for, especially for playing Call of Duty. But at the same time, they put in 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. So I mean, it's not like they don't deserve that money. Especially if they do things for the organization off that time, content, streams, all this stuff. There's a lot that goes into being a professional Call of Duty player that people don't realize or don't want to realize. So, yeah. But I will disagree with you on the fact that the league killed COD. I don't think that's the case. I think Warzone killed COD in one way.
Really?
Yeah, because the casual fan base stopped playing Call of Duty because the Call of Duties were just bad as well, and they went to Warzone because it was more fun. And the BRs were hyped. They were huge. And Warzone is still pretty popular, even though they're kind of killing Warzone.
Mostly because it's cheaters and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, they've kind of got a lock on that now. But the newest thing coming was ranked play for Modern Warfare 2, the newest game out, which has brought back players. It's a solid system. It's a very solid system, I hear.
Which I like. I like the way it is. I gotta say, out of all the other CODs, I actually enjoy this one. It's better than World War II by a long shot. The World War II, I remember at the very start of it, you couldn't even play with friends.
You couldn't.
You could only solo queue, and it was like, I don't want to solo queue. Like, the whole point of rank play is to, team up with your friends and just have a fun night of just grinding rank play together. This one I like because, I mean, there is still that rule where, like, once one of your friends gets like too high, it's like, all right, if you're too below them, you can't team up with them, which makes sense.
Does make sense.
It's to stop, the smurfing and all that kind of things. It makes sense.
And the boosting,
I mean, it's a great rank play. My complaint that I have with it, though, is with rank play, it's one of those points now to where once you get to a certain rank, you run into a bunch of cheaters. And it gets to a point where it's like, for instance, for us the other day, we're not even that high up. Like, I mean, one of us is a platinum, the others are gold, and I'm a silver. So it's like, not even that high up. And the other day we were playing I think it was Search and Destroy. No, it was a hard point, I think, actually. And there was a player who Even when you watch the webcam things, he'd watch you through the walls perfectly and pre-fire as soon as you went to go peek around a corner.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's got to be something to stop this cheating thing. Like, first it was Warzone that it was happening a lot in. Now it's ranked play.
It's a constant problem. I mean, it's a constant problem even in the competitive scene too, because in challengers, you can join challengers for nothing. I mean, you get a team, you're good enough, and some people really know how to hide it too. I mean, there were so many accusations last year about cheaters, getting into the top competitive challenger teams, and like, no wonder you're cheating. I mean, it would be subtle stuff. They would have some skill. They would have the skills necessary to, position and do all this stuff, but like slight aim assist, slight, wall hacks, all this stuff just to give you that extra advantage. Yeah, I mean, it's been a rampant problem, especially the past 2 years. And the fact that Activision doesn't care enough to, try to correct that on launch. I mean, especially to not even have competitive on launch. That just seems ridiculous to me.
This is now, what is it, the 6th COD that hasn't, actually I think it might be more than that hasn't had ranked play at the start.
Right. Which is unfortunate, because unfortunately ranked, even though, and competitive in of itself, isn't their cash cow.
Yeah, no.
Which is unfortunate.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, by the time ranked comes out, a lot of people have stopped playing COD for like months at that point. And then it's like it comes back, you come back, and then it's like you're playing a whole new game in a way. So it's like exciting for a little bit until you run into, again, the cheaters, and then you're like, well, that's enough for this for a bit.
Right. That was fun.
I mean, and the thing is, I don't know if it's Activision having a problem with it. It's the fact that it's so easy now to get the cheats.
Yeah, that's also
like,
true.
I think it's only like, I think for like $50 you can get like some kind of wall hack thing.
Probably the whole package for $50.
And it's just like,
yeah,
the fact that it's that easy is insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. With that done, I mean, this is the first episode in the wraps. So thank you everyone for being here. This is wild to have had it happened. Finally, yeah. So don't go anywhere. Join us back next week as we bring you back to more sports and eSports. We've been live for 2 hours and 20 minutes now on this, and it has just flown. It has just absolutely flown. First 15 minutes of that were, me being dumb.
Where are we live yet?
Yeah. Where am I at? Thank you all for being here. Appreciate the support on episode 1. It's fantastic. Look for the actual condensed versions of the episode coming out to YouTube and Spotify. Thank you for watching and listening on Spotify and YouTube if you are there now. And stay tuned. We got more coming, more planned. Like I said, this is episode 1, so we're going to be doing a lot more with this. We're going to be getting more into it. We're not in our flow yet. So
exactly, this is the start of something great.
Yeah. I was almost going to High School Musical there, start of something new, but no, it wasn't. Nothing. Don't worry about that. Start of something great. Yes, that's this. So once again, thank you all so much for listening and watching, and we'll catch you guys next week.